And we are now recording. Okay, so welcome, Stuart and Dawn. This is our first interview here together with both of you to discuss the endowment fund and really get down to the information of what it is and what it's for. So I'm going to start with Dawn why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, Dawn?
Well, I've been involved with the Summerfolk before the endowment fund, before it became an endowment fund, actually. It goes back to the 20th anniversary when the Summerfolk Circle was created. And we were asked by, at that time, Linda Van Alst and John Harrison to provide a couple of plaques to introduce the circle to the general public, which we did, and that was the first Summerfolk actually that I attended. The endowment fund was supposed to start at that point, but it didn't get off the ground until sometime later. And actually was 2013 was the first investment that we made through the community foundation. And that at that time, we made a donation to the foundation of $5,000 with the objective of growing it over the coming years. And as of now, as of the end of last year, I checked with Stuart yesterday, I think our balance was around 190,000. The objective, of course, is to go much higher. I'd like to see it go to $1 million, but it probably won't happen in
We've got a little bit of a frozen issue here. Okay. While we wait for Dawn. So Stuart, maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and
Sure. So Jared, I'm Stuart Reid. I'm Executive Director at Community Foundation Grey Bruce, and our community foundation is one of 192 community foundations that are across the country from coast to coast to coast. And we serve communities through building endowments that allow us to grant strategically to support work by charities and not-for-profits across the country. And we're also really engaged in discussing community well-being, and people might be familiar with our vital signs work, which puts together periodic reports on community well-being against particular indicators that have been prescribed. And that's something else we do, that kind of knowledge gathering to help us be more effective at granting strategically to the greatest community need as it arises.
Okay. So we went a little bit past the who are you and what do you do question and into what is a community foundation. So if you could just expand a little bit on what it is that a community foundation does.
Well, we build endowments and we create grants. So we work with people in our community, individuals, families, and organizations to endow dollars. So that means that those monies are invested and make earnings in the marketplace. And with those earnings, we create grants. The foundation never touches the capital, so the capital is always safe, and that's our asset that we build upon. And with all of the earnings that we make by pooling together resources from all of our different funds, and we have 165 of them now, we create grants that support great work by charities and not-for-profits addressing community wellness across Grey Bruce.
Okay. And what would you say the central mission of a community foundation like yours is?
Well, our vision statement is pretty compelling. It talks about creating a healthy, vibrant, and resilient community where no one's left behind. You know, that kind of effort to be. We also use the hashtag "You Make Your Community." It's about investing in the local. Using local knowledge for local impact, and we're locally managed, and all of our grants happen in Grey Bruce. And so we're very site specific, kind of creating bettering our community in place through this philanthropic mechanism of endowment funds.
Okay. So when you say that, everything that you do is locally focused, locally managed, locally done, how do you determine what your priorities would be locally?
Well, we're managed by a board of 12 directors who are all people with great varying levels of different types of expertise, I should say, rather. And and so we plan strategically for the organization's growth and administration and stewardship of the assets we manage. We also, I also mentioned that we do vital signs work, which is kind of a pulse taking of community wellness. And we do that from time to time. In 2016, we did a full vital signs report looking at how Grey Bruce was doing and kind of setting out some concerns or priorities that are talking points for community members. This year, we're working on a vital focus on housing report, which is going to be released in March. And that's, digging in deeper, looking at local statistics and data and trying to put our summary, our summation of what that data is saying into a very readable, accessible format for people. Hopefully the report will land on coffee tables across the region and be a conversation starter for families and people that are interested in making a difference about things that need to be addressed to really make Grey Bruce a better place to live.
And how do people find out about the reports?
Well, we have a vital conversation upcoming on December 9th, Jarrett, and people can go to our website at communityfoundationgraybruce.com and register. And that's going to be an open sort of a town hall meeting to talk about housing and how people are being affected by it. It gives us an opportunity to kind of glean some narrative from people about what they're experiencing in relation to a changing housing environment. We're going to be talking about affordability and accessibility of housing for families and individuals. We're going to be talking about housing and equity if there are barriers to access to housing for people, housing and living standards. So we all know about the cost of housing and how that might be prohibitive and exclusionary, and it might also create a lack of access for food or other types of costs when the cost of rental, for example, is very high. And all of those conversations we're hoping to convene that afternoon. We're going to have 4 lightning talk speakers that will come and share their knowledge of housing. They're people that have been engaged with either local government or data assembly. And I think it's going to be a great prompt for our sort of town hall discussion that day too.
Very quickly, what's a lightning talk speaker?
Well, forgive my use of that phrase. It's a quick talk. We're hoping that people can summarize very quickly, what they've been learning and what they've been doing and what they have to share about housing. So the lightning is the speed, and we're hoping to open up the afternoon with some quick introductions to local data sources and knowledge. And then we're going to have breakout rooms for people to share their own experience and to hear from others about how people are experiencing housing in Grey Bruce and what the major issues are.
Wonderful. And before I get to the last question, I just something that came up. I was thinking about while you were posing your answers there. How do you ensure that people, or how do you get the word out to the public that this is what you do and that you're a resource for the public in general to use?
Well, we do that. We talk about that a lot because, I move around the community and people say, oh, so what do you do exactly? And I start to talk about the foundation and I can see people's eyes glaze over because it's a little bit complicated about how we work. But we, at the foundation, we try and use community storytelling to spread the word. So, and if you follow us on our social media platforms or our website, you'll see that we tell our own story, but through our impact. And we try and talk about the wonderful projects we're supporting across the region and what those charities and not-for-profits are doing. Or, we try and tell a story about a student that's accessed a scholarship and how that's affected their life in a positive way. we always go back to the community storytelling to talk about the benefits and the impacts of philanthropy, and that's been very effective for us. So, yeah, those community narratives are golden, and I think when people hear the stories that are out there about the impact of some of the granting we've done and the way that we're able to support the amazing work that happens through charities and not-for-profits, it's a very compelling story.
Mhm. Okay. And we're welcoming back Don.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what happened, but here I am.
Excellent. Well, wonderful. So I'm just going to, if you're all right with that, Stuart, before I hit the last question with you, I'm going to jump back to Don here now that we've got him back in the conversation. Don, while you were reconnecting, we quickly spoke about what it is the Community Foundation is, what they do and how they do it, how they engage with the public. And you had already started into my second question, which was when did the endowment fund begin? So maybe we could just do a quick recap of when the endowment fund began. And then I'd like to jump back to the first question, which is who are you and how did you come to this organization?
Okay, well, I'll start at 2013, which was the actual date that the foundation and Summerfolk became partners. And at that time, we had to contribute a $5,000 advance, if you will, to become a bona fide member of the foundation, which we did, and raised that fairly quickly, actually, up to about 70,000-80,000, if I recall, within the first couple of years. And then that money was made possible actually through matching grants from the Canadian Heritage Endowment Incentive Fund, which they continue to do up till the present time. Our amounts have varied over the years, but we got off to a very good start. And I think as of the end of last year, the balance in our account was roughly $190,000.
Wonderful. And just very quickly, what's your background, Don, and how did you come to this organization?
Well, as I had said earlier before the interruption, I was approached through my business to provide a couple of bronze plaques for the Summerfolk Endowment Fund. That goes back to the 20th anniversary of Summerfolk, which we did. And that was the first time I had the opportunity to attend Summerfolk, and I became sold on the whole idea pretty quickly, and eventually got to be a board member and sat on the board for on and off for a period of about 20 years under 8 different presidents, which is probably a record which I might share with Derek Sparney, but nobody else that I know of.
Yeah, wonderful. And why was the endowment fund started?
Well, Summerfolk started on a shoestring and operated on a shoestring, and to a certain extent still does, as we all know. But at one point, we had the concept of a rainy day fund where we tried to put money aside in the event that we ever had a bad year or a weather related event that caused us to lose money, which became a, sorry, I got interrupted there by a pop-up, which I wasn't expecting. But the problem with the rainy day fund is, as we all know, and it's becoming increasingly more evident, rainy days happen and the money got spent. And that happened on more than one occasion. And then it was being used for things other than weather related events. And we thought maybe we better find a more secure way of investing our money. So we turned to the foundation, and with the help of Les Weirmeyer, who became a co-chair of our ad hoc committee, we were able to raise a fair amount of money fairly quickly, and with the objective of reaching much higher into the future. But so far, we are where we are, and we're at about $180,000 to $190,000.
And this is an effort to create a stable source of year-round funding that
That's
doesn't
correct.
go away.
And it wasn't intended to happen in 1 or 2 years, which we all know. And I think it's still a viable way to prepare for the future.
And what's one of the advantages of having an endowment fund as opposed to asking for donations directly to the organization?
Well, the idea of having an endowment fund is, number one, it's eligible for government matching, which helps a great deal. In fact, that some years has actually doubled what we were able to bring in. The other thing is that there's more security, because you never know from 1 year to another what a board is going to decide to do with the money, and they might just decide all to take off and have Summerfolk in Georgia some year or whatever, and that's not the intention. That's a bit of a wild speculation, but the foundation is stable, and it's credible, and it's well managed, and I think we're better to keep our risks at a minimum, and that's one way to do it.
And if I could add something, it's about the power of the collective too. And the foundation is all about groups and individuals and families coming together. And it's the collective power of those community assets that helps us in the marketplace, creates more robust return. And that grant that I was talking about with the agency fund, like the Summerfolk Fund, it generates profit every year that goes back to support operations or any kind of strategic initiative of Summerfolk itself. And that's really a stabilizing influence when you know that revenue is coming every year. And meanwhile, supporting local good through the foundation and all the myriad other services we provide in terms of philanthropy in the region.
Wonderful. And Stuart,
That's true.
what's the one thing that you feel that that the community at large should really know about the Community Foundation and what it does?
Well, Jared, I'd go back to that idea of the local. And when people are making plans for giving or a legacy gift, and whether it's on behalf of themselves or their family, it's really interesting to think about the foundation as having that long range impact on life in Grey and Bruce, and really supporting people and vulnerable people who need support. And so people that are interested in giving back and having long-term impact should really get to know a little bit about the foundation and what we do, and visit the website and dig in. Local impact for local good, building local knowledge. It's all about what is unique here in Grey and Bruce, and really celebrating that and making sure it's preserved and supported for generations to come.
Wonderful. And Dawn, you've already answered my last question, which was how does it benefit the Folk Society? But what would you like to see happen with the endowment fund going forward to the future?
Well, I think more of the same, but I'd like to see it increase, as I think I said, to $1 million or more over time. That can't be done overnight. But we have to start somewhere, and I think we're well on the way. But I would just like to see us have a bigger impact through the Community Foundation, and to partner with other organizations in the area that we can all support each other.
Wonderful. Okay. Is there anything else that Stuart, that you feel that you'd like to impart about what it is that you do or what the foundation does?
Well, we're coming up to giving season, and summer folk, it's great to dream about those beautiful evenings and great summer music outside with neighbors and friends. And if you want to support summer folk in the long range to ensure that we're always going to have that wonderful summer music, consider a donation to the endowment fund this holiday season. And you can make a tribute gift for a friend too, and that's recognized. We'll send out a card and let them know about your gesture. So put it on your list for holiday gift giving.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Stuart. Dawn, is there any last word that you'd like to send out to anybody who's interested in donating to Summerfolk, or anybody who's interested in getting involved with Summerfolk?
Well, I can't say enough to support the idea of please give what you can to an organization that you believe in. And I know that there's hundreds of people out there that have said, well, you know, I really should support the foundation, but I don't really have the money. $20 is not asking too much. If you have 500, great. But, you know, I think it's incumbent on everybody that's profited and enjoyed Summerfolk for the last 46 years to let's go for another 46 and beyond.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time for both of you, and enjoy the rest of your days, and peace and good luck for the coming season.
Thanks so much, Jarrett. Thanks,
Good.
Don.
Thank you, Garrett. Thank you, Stuart.
Excellent. Wonderful.